The secret to exceptionally tasting homemade baked goods is really good vanilla extract. And in my experience, that means, you guessed it, homemade. Now, one of the things about making vanilla extract is you gotta do it well in advance of the holiday baking season so it's ready to go, because it actually has quite a long steep time as opposed to making other flavors and types of extracts. So making homemade vanilla extract, we're going to have, first ingredient is vanilla beans. So this video is sponsored by Azure Standard, where I got my vanilla beans. So there's many different places that you can get vanilla beans, and there's actually three most common types of vanilla beans. This is, of course, whole vanilla beans, and it comes in a 1 ounce package. And this is actually the Tahitian vanilla beans, which these ones are really well known, prized for when you're making your vanilla extract. They have kind of a floral and fruity undertone, whereas Madagascar vanilla beans, those are considered really creamy flavored vanilla extract when it's made for those beans. And then the other is Mexican vanilla beans, and those are known as being a really kind of a bold and a robust flavor. So regardless of the type of all of those three, I've used all three of them, and they make excellent flavored vanilla extract. But I have the Tahitian ones here with me today. So you need 2 ingredients, that's it. Vanilla beans and then alcohol. So extracts, much like tincture making in the herbal world, but we are using alcohol to extract out the inside of the vanilla bean and to infuse the extract with that flavor. And then when we put it into our baked goods, the heat evaporates the alcohol, just leaving behind that wonderful vanilla flavor that we all know and love in our baked goods. And I always have loved the smell of vanilla. And I don't know about you guys, but when I was a little girl and first learning how to cook, kind of the same thing like with cocoa powder, because we think chocolate. And then you're watching the cocoa powder go into the batter and you're like, oh man, that's gonna taste so good. And then you taste the cocoa powder by itself and it's the most bitter, awful thing that you've ever had in your life. Really the same thing with vanilla extract. I remember when I was, again, first baking, I just wanted to taste everything and it smells so good. And I remember the first time I snuck a taste of vanilla extract and you were like, whoa, like get it out of my mouth as fast as you can. It does amazing things when it's baked in, but it's that strong alcohol flavor. Vanilla extract all by itself is not something that I would recommend. However, homemade vanilla extract, as I said, does really good things for your baked goods. We're gonna kind of talk our way through that versus store-bought vanilla extract. So when it comes to your alcohol choice, you actually do not have to use vodka. Now, a lot of folks will recommend vodka because it is clear, it doesn't have a flavor of its own, so the vanilla is gonna really come through strongly on that. Couple of things to note though is vodka can be made from a number of different things, but if you have sensitivities to gluten and or wheat, then you're gonna wanna make sure that you get a vodka that is not made from wheat and is certified gluten-free, because this one is made from wheat and California fruit. So it's actually made from, you can get vodka that's made from potatoes, but you're gonna wanna make sure that you're looking at it. And I do not have a wheat allergy, but I do try to avoid any crops that are highly sprayed pesticide types crops or crops that may be genetically modified, etc. So I only get organic vodka when I am purchasing alcohol to make my herbal tinctures and or homemade extracts for baking. Some other alcohols that I've used that can be really good as well is rum. Rum is already naturally darker in color, but rum is great to use with vanilla beans and making extract. That's one that I also use, and I think they both taste really good and can impart really great flavors to your baked goods. But today, we are going to be using our vodka. So we need to get our beans prepped. So I'm gonna go ahead and open this up. Oh, it smells so good. Now, one of the signs that you've got nice, fresh vanilla beans is these are pretty plump. They're not really small and shriveled up. And you can see how supple this is. Like, this is not cracking as I'm bending it. I'm able to bend this. So you can tell that these are still really fresh and in really good shape. Now, sometimes you'll also get vanilla beans that might have like a little bit of a white substance on the outside. That's usually not mold. And so sometimes it's just a little bit of like almost crystallized sugar on the beans. So just if you see like a white creamy part in your bean when it comes inside the package, don't immediately be like alarmed if you see that happening. It's usually not mold. So even if you were to get beans, sometimes with shipping, or if they're a little bit older, depending on where you get them from, they can be more shriveled up. They're a little bit harder to split, but once you get them in the alcohol, they will plump up. But ideally, you've got some beans that are on the fresh and supple side. So we are going to be making our extracts. I only ever make extracts or tinctures in glass. So you can get these fun swing top bottles. And of course, I've got my little label on there, so it's vanilla extract. And this is one that I have just emptied. I need to make more. And then this is a jar that I've had going, and you can see there's just a little bit left in the bottom, but you can see how dark that is. But I definitely need to restock my stores. So you're gonna wanna have a nice sharp knife. There's actually two ways you can do it. So I'm gonna show you kind of more the traditional way of doing it, and that's with this jar here. Now, how many beans do you need? For homemade extract, I actually like to use a little bit higher volume than what you would get with a lot of store-bought extract. So about 5 to 6 vanilla beans, or a half an ounce, to 8 ounces of alcohol. This jar is actually a 12-ounce jar if I go here to the neck. So I know in that case that I'm gonna use about 3/4 ounce, or maybe even a full ounce of beans, which is what this package is. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I'm gonna use all 7 of these beans to the 12 ounces of alcohol for this full jar. So you're gonna come to the top of the bean, and we're going to leave the top intact, just right here. And then we're gonna run our knife, and you're going to split it right down the center, or as close as you can get as possible. Okay, then you can see we're going to open that up, because it's the little black substance. Can you see that in there inside the bean? That is all of the flavor that we really want to extract and infuse into the alcohol. So we're gonna, oh, look at that. So you can see it's almost looks like little coffee grounds. That is the inside of the vanilla bean that we're really after. And you can see here where I didn't quite get that cut all the way. But the reason I left this connected at the top is because when you go to pull it out of your jar, or your bottle in this instance, it's just easier. I can grab 2 sections at once if they're still connected at the top to pull it out faster than, like I just pulled out 2, right, with one because they're connected, rather than having to pull them out individually. So these ones are older, and you can see because they were not exposed beneath the alcohol as I was using it up the whole time, they've got soaked up quite a bit of alcohol in them, but they are not as supple. So we're gonna go ahead and get all of these in this for our first jar. Now, sometimes people will have where you will take the edge of your knife and you're gonna kind of lay this open and actually scrape out some of the insides. As you can see here, that is all of the little bits of the vanilla bean to just help get that extracted more so. But you don't have to do that. You can just take all of these, we're gonna get these all into our bottle here. And then we need to top this off, or I should say fill it and make sure it's topped off with our alcohol. Now, sometimes people ask, like, do you have to use alcohol? And when you're making different, especially like herbal tinctures, you can use alcohol, you can use vinegar, you can use glycerites. but a lot of the times it has to do with the actual item that you are extracting stuff from. And there's some things where alcohol is just going to extract the properties from it better than any other item. And because generally with extracts, we are using them for baking, where they're going to be put into a hot drink or into a baked good where that heat is going to evaporate off all of the alcohol. So you're, not worried about, getting drunk from putting a couple teaspoons of vanilla extract into a baked good, etc. So, and you don't really want the taste of vinegar in your baked goods. So I have not tried doing it with glycerite or doing it with a vegetable glycerin. I don't know how well that would work. So I just use it with the alcohol. So now you can see we've got this lovely jar here, and then you want to shake it really good, which is why it's great to have the swing top like this where it seals it, because we want to agitate out all of those little tiny vanilla beans that are in here. And as I shake this, you can see little flecks of the vanilla bean, right, is all starting to come out into the liquid. So I'm just going to give this a couple of really good shakes. There we go. And then I can also see if some of those beans are starting to float above the surface a little bit, that I need to top this off just a little bit more. Oh, and I got a wee bit too much in there. But that's okay, because I'm also going to show you, this is great for gift giving, but I kind of keep a continual jar going in this jar here, which sometimes I'll use to like funnel back into this one, because this one does look fun in the cupboard. There we go. But another way that you can make your extract is, you'll see here, especially if you have maybe you don't have a tall jar like this one for the beans to be whole, well, you can definitely cut them in half. Or you can see on the bottom here where I have actually chopped these up into even smaller sections. So this is a method that can work really well. Slightly different, but basically the same thing. So with these beans, this is exactly what I was talking about, where sometimes you'll see it's kind of like a creamy white looking substance on the outside that's just crystallized sugars, but it's not fuzzy. Like if they're moldy, you're going to be able to tell that they're moldy because it's going to be very fuzzy, like, what mold is. This is not. So you can see that's just kind of like a weeping on there. It's not fuzzy. It's not moldy. And these beans are actually older, and so they are not as supple. You can see that they're not as wide, and if I go to bend one, this one I can actually bend, but one of these I started to bend and it just broke in half. So that can kind of show you a little bit of a difference. So with this one, because these are more dried up, they're not as supple, and they're so much skinnier, it can be really hard to try to cut this long ways in half. So I'm going to do my best, but it's a little bit harder to do. So what I like to do with beans like this is I will still cut them long ways where I can. So we've slit these open as best as possible when they're this small, but now I basically just go through and do a rough chop, because this is going to, one, if you've got a shorter jar, that's going to allow you to get them in there. I might have to separate these out just a little bit, but because these are drier, this is just creating more surface area for the little bits of the vanilla bean on the inside to escape into our liquid. You can see it's a lot harder. It's kind of like cutting through twigs. May have to sharpen my knife after this. And you can see all the little bits from just cutting it like that, that's helping us to release those beans. But now we want to make sure that we get them into our jar. And you're going to notice that of this jar of extract, I am not going to be taking out the beans that I already have in there. We are just going to be adding to it. And then there is all of the little beans that was on the cutting board, so I want to make sure that those get in there. And now we're just going to top this off with more alcohol. And because of the amount that I had left in here, and then I put in those 25 beans, we're going to go ahead and fill this up all the way with my remaining alcohol. And again, we're going to get that lid on there, and then we're just going to shake this up to really disperse those little bits of bean. So these guys need to sit and infuse for a minimum of 3 months before use. Ideally, at least 6 months and even up to a year. And then you can choose to strain the solids out. They're not going to really extract anymore past that 6-month part. Or you can continue to just top it off like I'm doing and almost make like an ever-renewing, ever-going amount of your vanilla extract. But the good news is you'll just want to store these in a cool, dark place, so out of direct sunlight. You don't want them to be in a hot place, but it's an alcohol tincture. There is absolutely no need to refrigerate it. At room temperature is just fine, but depending on how hot your house gets, I wouldn't store it directly over an oven or near a window where it's going to be getting direct sunlight, etc. You do want to try to remember to shake it every now and then. I rarely remember to shake it every day, but especially in those beginning stages, you do want to continue to shake it just to get those loosened up and infused. So in 3 months, you can start using it, but if you want to have the best vanilla flavor in your baked goods ever, wait until that 6-month mark. Now that you know how easy it is to make your own homemade extracts, you can make a ton of different homemade extracts at home. And I have got a blog post with both these written instructions as well as instructions for making homemade lemon extract, almond extract, mint extract. All your different extracts can be made homemade. So go and visit that, and happy extract making.